Most business books, they tell you how to do things when everything's going great. But what happens when it's all falling apart? Today, we're jumping into Ben Horowitz's book, which is all about the battle-tested wisdom you need for those impossible situations.
So our guide for this journey is Horowitz's own story. It's this completely unflinching account of being a CEO, riding the crazy highs and the gut-wrenching lows of building companies in Silicon Valley. It's like part memoir, part leadership guide, and it is 100% real.
Now, Horowitz kicks his book off not with some quote from a famous management guru, but with a lyric from Kanye West. And this is so deliberate. He's telling you right from page 1, hey, this isn't some theory class. This is about the street fight of building a real business.
And that whole street fight idea, it gets us right to the heart of the book. Horowitz basically says that for the really tough challenges, the stuff that keeps you staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., there are no simple formulas. There's no easy recipe you can just follow.
See, the easy thing, the stuff you read in all the other books, is dreaming big or hiring a team of superstars. But the hard thing is what you do when that dream turns into a total nightmare. It's having to fire those same amazing people you hired because everything's gone wrong. That is the messy, brutal reality this book dives into. But Horowitz's leadership style, his grit, it wasn't just forged in Silicon Valley boardrooms. No, it started way, way earlier, with this really powerful lesson he learned as a kid about courage. So picture this. He's this shy 5-year-old, and an older kid dares him to do something really cruel to another child. He was terrified of the dare, terrified of the consequences, and in that moment he chose to be kind instead. It taught him something huge. Being scared is just a feeling. It doesn't mean you're a coward. It's what you do when you're scared that actually defines you.
And believe me, that lesson in character was about to get tested in a big, big way when he jumped into the tech world right at the center of the Netscape explosion, the company that basically handed the internet to the masses.
I mean, the scale of this was just insane. On the day of its IPO, only 16 months after it was founded, Netscape was worth nearly $3 billion. This was basically the gunshot that kicked off the entire dot-com boom.
But almost immediately, just as they're riding this incredible high, the ultimate enemy appears on the horizon. The titan of the industry, Microsoft, announces it's going to give its web browser away for free. This was a direct shot at Netscape's main source of revenue. The browser wars were on, and just like that, Netscape was a company at war.
And the pressure was absolutely suffocating. It wasn't just coming from the outside. It was a pressure cooker inside the company, too. This is an actual email, uncensored, that Horowitz got from Netscape's legendary co-founder, Mark Andreessen. It's raw, it's brutal, and it just perfectly captures that insane emotional intensity of trying to survive.
So, you'd think after all that, he'd take a break, right? Nope. After Netscape, Horowitz jumped right back into the fire. He co-founded a company called LoudCloud, a true pioneer in cloud computing at the absolute tippy-top peak of the dot-com bubble.
And their timing, wow, it was spectacularly bad. The whole disaster just unfolded in real time. They launched with all this hype, and then, boom, the entire market just vaporizes. The Nasdaq drops 80% from its peak. Everything crashed.
And just like that, the money evaporated. Private funding totally dried up. When Horowitz went out looking for more investment, one group literally told a board member that Ben had to be smoking crack to even be asking for money. In just 6 months, they went from being the hottest startup in the valley to being completely radioactive.
And his co-founder, Mark Andreessen, he just perfectly captured the psychological nightmare of it all with this quote. It's this constant, nauseating swing between total euphoria and absolute terror. And of course, the lack of sleep just makes both feelings 1,000 times more intense.
So, with no other choice, they try to go public. And it wasn't just an IPO. It was the IPO from hell. Think about this. The company is just weeks from going bankrupt. His wife has a terrifying medical emergency back home. The stock market is in a freefall, and their IPO price gets slashed by 40%. It was just a perfect storm of personal and professional disaster.
But here's the kicker. Even after surviving all that, the money they raised from the IPO wasn't enough to save them. Their business model was just fundamentally broken. And that forced Horowitz to face the single hardest decision of his career.
He had to change his entire way of thinking. He stopped asking, how can we survive? And he started asking this much more powerful question. Okay, what would I do if we actually did go bankrupt?
And by staring into the abyss, by really thinking through the worst possible outcome, he found something, a hidden gem. He realized that inside this failing company was this really valuable asset, their own automation software, which they called Opsware. And he thought, you know what, I'd buy that out of bankruptcy and start a new software company, which immediately led to the next question, wait, is there a way to do that without going bankrupt first?
This sparked a plan that was, well, it was completely audacious, and it had to be done in almost total secret. Step 1, secretly rebuild their internal tools so it could be a real product. Step 2, find a buyer for the entire original business. We're talking customers, employees, the whole shebang. And step 3, transform the public company from a services business into a totally new software company. It was the ultimate high-wire act with absolutely no safety net.
So, after going through all of that, what's the big takeaway? What really is the hard thing about hard things?
He boils it down to this really brilliant idea about leadership. See, most of the time, you want to be a peacetime CEO. You're expanding, you're building on your strengths, but in a crisis, you're forced to become a wartime CEO, where the only thing that matters is survival, and all the normal rules just go right out the window.
And that right there brings us full circle. The hard thing isn't having the big vision. It's not about the exciting goal. The hard thing is the struggle. It's that moment you wake up in a cold sweat because the dream has turned into a nightmare, and you still have to find the guts to figure out what to do next.
Ben Horowitz's story is just an absolute masterclass in leadership during a crisis, forged in the fires of the dot-com bust. And it really leaves all of us with a critical question to ask ourselves. When the hard things inevitably come for you, what kind of leader are you going to be?